गणानागं त्वा गणपतिगं नवामहे कविं कवीनामुपमश्रवस्तमं ज्येष्ठराजं ब्रह्मणां ब्रह्मणस्पद आनशृण्वन्नोतिभिः सीदसादनम् ॐ श्री महागणाधिपतये नमः। क्षेमश्च मे धृतिश्च मे विश्वञ्च मे महर्षः पुरुषः सहस्राक्षः सहस्रपाद स भूमिं विश्वतो कृत्वा कृतवती सवितराधिपत्यैः पयवादिशां विष्णुपत्यघोरं सहस्रशीर्षं देवं विश्वाक्षं विश्वशम्भुवं विश्वं नारायणं।
Shri Matre Namaha. Namaskaram and welcome back to our Sacred Rites and Rituals of Sanatana Dharma learning series, which is a joint presentation by the Sri Vidya Temple Society, Rochester, New York, USA, and Ashtanga Yoga Mandir, Sri Lanka. These lectures are conducted by Sri Chaitanya Nandanatha, affectionately known as Ayya. Ayya is the founder and Pitadipati of the Sri Vidya Temple. Both Ayya and Amma, Srimati Nyanamba, have dedicated their lives to the noble mission of preserving and spreading the knowledge of Devi worship and the rich traditions of Shaiva Bhakti. In terms of upcoming events, the temple will be observing Tiruvambave, the sacred festival of Lord Nataraja, starting December 28th. The final day of the festival, Aradra Darshanam, will be on January 6th. Balavidya and youth learning session will also be held in the coming weeks. Balavidya will take place on December 31st, 2022 from 4 to 6 p.m. Youth learning session will take place from December 29 to January 1st, 2023. Please keep an eye out for an email communication from Temple to register for the sessions. Space is limited. Please register soon. We will be holding our annual Madingi Homam on January 1st, 2023. This special Homam is organized and conducted by children to invoke the blessings of Saraswati, the goddess of learning and fine arts. Please make sure to join our mailing list to stay informed about these and future events. Just a note to all, we will not have our yoga session today. For those interested in viewing content shared during the sessions, please note that all content being discussed in these sessions will be posted after the conclusion of the respective topic on our webpage. Please use the question form to share any questions you might have pertaining to the content discussed. For those viewing our live stream, our question form can also be found on our webpage, which is srividya.org/aym-lectures. At this time, we will hand it over to Ayya to begin today's session.
Om Hamsa Siva Soham Hasakafrem Hasakshamadavarayum Hasaum Sahakshamadarayim Sahau Swarupa Nirupana Hetave Swagurave Sri Annapurnamba Sameda Srila Sri Amrutanandanada Saraswati Mahapattaraka Mama Sri Guru Sri Padukam Pujayami Tarpajami Namaha. Namaskaram everyone. I prostrate before my esteemed Guruji Sri Amrutanandanada of Devipuram and pray that he sit on my open heart lotus and speak through me. We have been looking at the 25 forms of Shiva, and also whenever the opportunity presents itself, we have explored side streets. And sometimes the side streets are quite big, and you have to spend quite a few days exploring those streets. But it is useful because we never know when this opportunity will arise again, so that we can explore those streets. The last incarnation or form of Shiva that we have looked at is Neelakanta Murti. Shiva, with his blue-colored throat, where the hala poison that appeared when they churned the ocean. Devas on one side, Asuras on the other side. And Neelakanta Murti, when the poison appeared, it was beginning to destroy, and first of all, the Asuras started fainting and falling, losing their senses. And they discovered that Vasuki, which was used as a rope, was emitting the poison. And it threatened both the Devas and the Asuras. And when it did that, Shiva, in his compassion, took the poison and drank it. And Devi placed her hand on the neck, not letting it go any further. And hence, the throat became blue with the poison. He was hence called Neelakanta. Because the poison came during the churning of the ocean, I thought it would be prudent for us to learn a little bit more of the Ratnas that came out of the ocean. Usually, a list of 12 are given. Actually, there are 14. These are the following items that came: Chandra, Parijata, Airavada, Kamadhenu, Madhira or Varuni, Kalpavriksha, Apsaras, Uschairavasas, Goddess Lakshmi, Panchajanya, Vishnu's mace and magic bow, various gems like Kaustuba, Chintamani, and Dhanvantri, the physician of the gods, and Amrita, finally, the elixir, the Amrita that came, for which the Devas and the Asuras were competing with each other. Now, we came up to the point where Lakshmi had emanated from the Amritam. And whenever it was prudent, the Devas, they acquired they made whatever that came out their own. So Goddess Lakshmi was claimed by Vishnu. and he placed her on his chest. Vishnu Vakshasthalastidayai Nama. And from there, she emanated into 16 or 8 Lakshmis, Shodas Lakshmis or Ashtalakshmis, and helped Vishnu carry on this job, his function of sthiti or protection of the universe. After Lakshmi, a conch appeared from the ocean of milk. This conch was called Panjajanya. Pancha meaning 5, Janya meaning 5 classes of people who were controlled by the deities in the Shankam. And this Panjajanyam is the one that Krishna used during the Mahabharata war. Whenever there was a Gaurava who was vanquished, he blew the conch. And the conch also, from descriptions of the Mahabharata, especially in Tamil by Villiputturar Alvar. The Tamil version, the Ramayana Tamil version was written by Kambar. And the Mahabharatam, the Tamil version was written by Villiputturar Alvar. There he says that whenever the conch was blown, the opposition, the opponents fainted. So it appears that he was using an auditory weapon. The blast probably blew out their eardrums and they fainted. And it is also described that when Vishnu blows the Panjajanyam, fire comes out of it. Now, these are things that you won't normally come by. This information, it is useful for us to know what some of the details of these things are. There is a second version told about the origin of the Panjajanyam. Krishna and Balarama, when he was a student, Krishna and Balarama went to a particular rishi and learnt all the things that they knew. They went to the Guru and learnt it from him. And at the end of their education, they asked him, what kind of a Guru Dakshina do you expect from us? And the Guru says that an Asura kidnapped his son and took him away from them. And he says, if you can return that son to me, I would be pleased. So what they do, what Krishna does is he goes and finds out that Asura is at the base of the ocean, at the bottom of the ocean, and he has imprisoned the son of the Guru there, and he is living in a shell. So what Krishna does is he goes down and he kills him. After he kills the Asura, he brings the shell out and brings the son of the Guru and gives him back to his father and takes the conch with him. That is one story. Anyway, the Panjajanya is supposed to, can we have the picture depicting the various devas or items that are inside the conch? I think you go to the section on the conches, you will see it. What he would do when you do puja normally, if you remember, The Shankha Gayatris, Pavanarajaya Vidmahe, Panjajanyaya Dhimahi, Tanna Shankha Prachodayat. And with that, in the Sri Vidya Temple, we also follow installation, firstly of Varuna, and then the various sacred rivers, Ganga, Yamuna, Saraswati, Sindhu, Sarayu, Gomati, Komala, Kantaki, Ketaki, Gangotri, Godavari, Krishna, Bhadra, Dungabhadra, Kaveri, Narmada, Sabarmati, Niagara, Janasi, Yamunotri, Tamrabarani, and Vaigai. The names of at least 21 sacred rivers are added. We started this practice because children born in the West, in Canada and in the United States and in the United Kingdom of France, have no idea, let alone the children, the parents themselves do not know the names of all the sacred rivers in India. So we introduce this so that they become familiar with this. And it has been my experience that even little children who are doing puja, who have learned the puja and do it, they chant all the names, which gives one a lot of satisfaction when you know what they are doing. Anyway, if you can go to the next slide, please. Now, Ganga and Saraswati are supposed to be at the head of the Panjajanya that Vishnu has in his hand. Varuna is in the middle, along with Surya and Chandra. Prajapati, the divine Purohit, is at the tail end of the Shankha. Now this, when you do Shankha Puja, please remember the tip of the Shankha should not be broken. If the tip of the Shankha is broken, it is fit only to be blown. If it is intact, then you can install the various deities and worship it. Okay? Can we go to the next, please? And normally, they say, if you look at this, installation of Surya Kalas, especially when you do Sri Chakra Puja, installation of the Samanyargya, the Surya Kalas are intoned. So you can say where they are. Tapini, Tapini, Dhumra, Marichi, Jwalini, Ruchi, Sushumna, Bogada, Vishwa, Vodini, Dharini, Kshama. Now, there is also another practice. If you are going to install Surya Kalas, they may go anti-clockwise also. There is no requirement that they have to go clockwise. Next slide, please. And in Sri Chakra Puja, one must remember not to move the Shankam once it is installed until the end of the puja. Next slide, please. There are two varieties of this Shankam. One is the right-handed one, which is quite rare, and the left-handed ones. Now, one may also, at least in our temple, when we do Shankabhishekam, firstly, the Shankams, we will install Varuna in the water. So all the different names of Varuna are chanted into the water. And lotus, petal of lotus. And if Navaratnas are available, Navaratnas, copper, silver, and gold coins, if possible. Dharma. These things are added into the water with the Shankha Gayatri being chanted. So all this came from the Panjajanyam. Now, the Panjajanyam is only a part of what Vishnu holds in his hands. Usually, the Panjajanyam is held in the left hand, upper left hand of Vishnu. Now, there are very different formations of Vishnu. Some are with 18 hands. Some are with 16 hands. Vedanta Deshikar, a Tamil scholar and an ardent devotee of Vishnu, composed something called Shodasa Ayudha Vishnu, Shodasa Ayudha Stotram. Shodasam is 16. That means Vishnu is holding 16 different weapons in his hand. And if you look at that, those weapons are Chakra on the right hand side, Chakram. The Chakram is called Sudarshana Chakram. And in many temples, especially, for example, in Point Pedro in Sri Lanka, there is a temple for Mahavishnu. And the Moolasthana Murti there, in the Garbhagraham, Chakram is there, not the full form. Chakra Talvar, the Chakram is in the Moolasthana. And the weapon is there in the Moolasthana, and it is quite powerful. I have been there to that temple. Especially, I have been there during Kumbhabhishekam when they had created what is called Balalayam. That is, the energy is withdrawn from the Garbhagraham into miniature idols made out of ficus glomerata, a variety of ficus. Attimaram. The sap in that tree encourages the absorption of mantras, and it can remain until the miniature sanctum is created away from the sanctum, because workers are now working inside and the daily pujas go on to the miniature murtis. And I had an occasion to go to this temple during the Kumbhabhishekam process when it was taking place. And directly above the miniature murtis, on the roof, on the purlins and the rafters, there was a huge black color cobra. And the priest told me that he is always there. He won't move. Until the Kumbhabhishekam was done, he was there, it seems. So, the Chakram. Now, the Chakra is supposed to have been given to Vishnu by Lord Shiva. Malukku Chakaram Andru Arul Seidavan Malliya Thindai Tannul Alikkum Andanar Valgindra Thillai Chittambalame Idamaga Palithu Nattam Pailavallanikke Pallandu Kurudume. There is a tradition of singing 5 compositions in a Shiva temple, and these are called Panchapuranam. This falls into the category of Pallandu, that means blessing, so that the deity may live for thousands and thousands of years. And in that it says, Malukku Chakram Andarol Saidavan. Shiva gave him the discus, the Sudarshana Chakram. It was called Sudarshanam, and it is quite powerful. When there is some kind of negativity in one's family, one can perform Sudarshana Homam using black pepper. That's the samittu for it. And the mantra is Sahasrara Humpat Swaha. Now, different weapons, I suppose, depending on which kind of textual source you access, different weapons are mentioned. The mostly accepted ones are on the right hand side. Now this Vishnu has 16 hands, 8 to a side. Okay. Chakram, that is the discus on the right hand side. Now if you look carefully, it appears as though this photograph has 2 shankams. One on the right and one on the left. But anyway, Malu. Malu is a battle axe. Remember the axe that Parasurama carried? That is called Mayupada. Kundam. What is Kundam? It's a javelin. Okay? Kundam is a javelin. Dandam or Dandu. That is the Dandayudam, the mace that he has. Okay? Then there is also something that he holds which emanates fire from 10 faces, from 100 faces. Fire is emanating. In the modern days, it's called a flamethrower. In the old days, it has been there. Obviously, from 100 faces, this fire has been emanating from this instrument that he carries with him. Then, Ankusham, elephant goad. That instrument that he carries that emanates fire from 100 faces is called Satamukha Agni. Satamukha Agni. Khadgam. Khadgam in this respect is a sword. The Khadgam that he is carrying is also called Nandaka. That Nandaka represents knowledge, true knowledge. And always a sword has a scabbard, a sheath where it is kept in. That sheath represents darkness, ignorance. So when Vishnu draws the sword out of the scabbard, it means he is ready to give you true knowledge. Okay. And there are stories about this sword. The sword is supposed to have been the source for Annamacharya. Annamacharya was supposed to have been born from the sword. He was an avatar of the sword of Vishnu. Also, there was somebody called Peyalvar. Peyalvar was also from the sword. Then there is a veil. He carries a veil. So if you are a practitioner of Sri Vidya and if you have done Subramanya Upasana, according to Guruji, the veil is Panchadasakshari. So he is described as, Devi is described as Padmanabha Sagodari or Goptri, Govindarubini, which means he is carrying the Panchadasakshari as a weapon in his hand. It is an interesting, you will find that as we go into these side lanes and start to investigate and explore some of the areas, you will find that there is a lot of common ground between Saivam and Shaktam and Vaishnava. On the left side of Mahavishnu. Now, in this picture that you see, he is depicted as carrying a lotus on the right hand also, on the front right hand. Go to the next one that shows the eight weapons, 8-handed side on the 16 hands. No, to the complete form of him. There. If you look at that, you will find that along with the Parasu, he is carrying a shield. Now these are pape. What does that mean? Padabedam. Padabedam. Differences in the iconography. And you will notice that on the right hand side, in this, he's not carrying a lotus, but his sword is carried on this right hand. So even iconographical differences will be there. Some texts will have the same line chanted in different ways. Parparalaka. Sometimes they will chant Banduralaka. So, and they will always say Padabedam. Depends on who has copied the information. Go back to the other thing. Go back to the original form. Then we'll come back to this. On the left side, he is carrying Panjajanya. We spoke about the conch. So he used the conch as a sound weapon, breaking the eardrums of the Asuras and putting them to sleep. And the Kauravas went to sleep whenever they heard this. And the next one is Sarangam. Sarangam is the name of his bow. The bow that Vishnu carried is called Sarangam. Also, please remember, in music there is a raga called Saranga. Right? Then, on the left-hand side again, Pasam. He has a Pasam. And Kalappai, that is a plowshare. Gaumudikam, Kushikam, many names are there. And Vajrayidam. Now, in the list that I first looked at, the Vajrayidam is not there. But then, in Vedanta Desikars, Shodasa Ayudha Stotram, I found that the Vajrayidam is there. What is a Vajrayidam? It's a thunderbolt. And usually Vajrayidam is associated with Indra because he is Lord of the Rain. And this Vajrayidam is also there, and I'm sure in some stories you will find that Mahavishnu gave the weapon to Indra. Then Gadayudam. That Gadayudam is called Gaumotaki. That is the name of it. Just like Panjajanyam is the name for the conch, Gaumotaki is the name for the Gadayudam. Musalayudam. Musalayudam, in Tamil it is called Ulake, vessel that you use for pounding. That Musalayudam is also there. They have used that also as a weapon those days. Trisulam. Usually Trisulam is associated with Shiva or Shakti. It means he has given it to his brother-in-law. After all, Mahavishnu is his brother-in-law. Can you go back to the individual weapons, please? You will see some changes and you will see some additional things depicted. Here, Vishnu's weapons, Sudarshana, that you know. Mayu. It's not pronounced Mallu, it is pronounced Mayu, Malu Padai. Malu is Parasu or battle axe. And the shape is exactly what you see there. That is the shape. It's very similar to a tomahawk. Kundam, the javelin. Dandam. You see, Dandayudam can either be this or a mace. Gadayudam. Dandayudam, Gadayudam. Dandam also can mean stick. In fact, in some literature, it is mentioned as being a stick, tadi, dandam, tadi. Then Ankusham, that you are familiar with. Sata Mukagni, that is the weapon that is a flamethrower. So if they got too close to him in battle, he would use that and burn everybody off. Then Khadgam, knife or sword, and veil. Can you go to the rest of them? Panjajanya, the conch. Saranga, the bow. Pasham, the noose. Kushikam, plowshare. Kalappai. Vajraidam. Now this depiction of the Vajraidam is from Tibet. I have seen the actual lightning being portrayed in some iconography. And Gadaidam. Then Musalaidam, pestle. Pestle is not usually shown in pictures, but pestle is Ulake and Trisula. Now, when they worship Vishnu, there is also Vishnu's fire emanating conch, Panjajanya, meaning possessing control over the 5 classes of beings. It also has control. It also means that it will control your 5 sense organs when you blow the thing. And there are saints in the Saivite corpus, a saint like Tirunakarasanayana, who says, Vansangudada Patanathila Uril Kudiyirka Vandam. If a white conch is not being blown in a town or in a city or in a village, do not live there. Because the Shankam is supposed to dispel the negative forces and invite the divine beings in there. Now, each of the weapons, there is a particular name associated with that weapon for Vishnu. Chakaram, Sudarshana Chakaram. The name is Kesava. Shankam, Panjajanyam, Narayana. Gadaidam, mace. Madhava. Charanga. Charanga will, bow called Charanga. Govinda. Plowshare, Vishnu. Vessel, Ulakai. Madhusudana. Val, Trivikrama. Vajraida, Vamana. Khadgam, Sridhara. And in this list, I found there's a hammer also involved as a weapon. Kuruval means a kris, a dagger. So that dagger does not appear in any one of these lists. See, the dagger also is mentioned. Probably in the 18-handed Mahavishnu form, those things are added. But usually, you won't find Mahavishnu depicted with 16 hands. This is because I had read about Vedanta Desikar Shodasa Ayudam, that I traced this on this one. So, Vajraida is Vamana. Then Marachutti, hammer, Hrishikesa. Hammer is also not mentioned in this list. Lotus, you don't see that mentioned here in the list. Padmanabha. And noose, Pasham, Damodara. Now, the source for these names and the weapons associated with them is Dwadasa Nama Panjara Stotra. Okay. Now, the next one that was supposed to be emanating from this list from this long list of deities that have come out, or the things that have come out of the ocean. After Panjajanya is Vishnu's mace, which is the Dandaism, and bow called Sharanga. We looked at these two things. Now, along with this, gemstones appeared from there. Some cases I have read that all 9 gems came from there. But in all the lists that I have been able to gather, I have been able to get only 2 names, Kaustuba and Chintamani. Now, if you look at a picture of Venkateshwara in Tirupati, you'll always find that there is a huge green gemstone on his chest, very much like the gemstone that is worn on our Devi's chest. That is also there. Now, an interesting little bit of information for you. When Sri Amma was alive, once we had gone somewhere, we were traveling with Amma, and she was talking about this, and I asked her about this stone, the green stone that I see on all the pictures that they publish in the calendars of Tirupati. And in every picture you will find this green pendant there. So I asked her about it. And she told me that it used to be the fashion in all the temples, whether it is Shiva or whether it is Devi, various forms of Devi or various forms of Mahavishnu, the green used to be there, that pendant. And that it had become out of fashion 150 years ago. They stopped using it. Just like they have dropped so many things, this also was dropped. What are the other things that we know that have been dropped? The Naivedyam vessels that you see in our temple that look like they are oval, and the vessels that are made with brass or bronze, they have been dropped slowly. In those vessels, we found in a 125-year-old store that has been passed from great-grandfather to grandfather to father to son. And it is almost like a warehouse. The storefront is very small. Once you enter it, it goes deep, deep, deep inside. And vessels and other articles that have been used and people have stopped using them are all over the place. So, to cut the long story short, I asked Sri Amma, is there any place where we could find some artisan who can make this so that we can offer it to our Devi? And Sri Amma said, it is available in the place where Andal, the eternal devotee of Ranganatha, lived, Sri Villiputtur. We were somewhere near Madurai, I believe, I can't remember now. And I asked her, Amma, is it possible that we could go there? She said there is one family that still maintains that kind of artisanship, and they are able to work. They work on those things. She said, sure, we will go. And it so happened that the next day in Sri Villiputtur was the parrot festival. They make a parrot out of coconut fronds, coconut leaves. And if you look at it from about 5 feet away, you won't think that it is made with leaf. It looks exactly lifelike. Such artisanship is there. Anyway, we went to this place and she took me to a house. And there he showed me some of the things that he has been working on. So the green pendant that you see our Devi wearing it, can you bring up a picture of our Devi with that green pendant? If the green pendant, there you see it. And there you see it on Venkateshwara too. In fact, you see more than one color there. Here is green. And we got a blue color pendant for Shiva. That was called Indranilam. And this pendant was made by them. It is not just made very simply. It involves a lot of artisanship. Behind the stone is a plate. And very carefully they have made this. It was ordered there, and this, after it came, Devi has not been seen without this pendant. Including Saturdays, every week, day after day, she wears this one. So these gemstones also came out of the ocean. And Chintamani, Chindai, mind, thought. Anything that the mind desires, it will fulfill, it will produce it and give it to you. So Chintamani. And the other one is Kaustubhamani. So he is supposed to have that divine gem worn by Vishnu on his chest, Kaustubham. And of course, Chintamani is this. But I have read, I could not trace the source today, but I have read that all 9 gemstones emanated from there. And at later stages, they were given the status of being a planet and then charged with the duty or the function of working out individual people's karmas while they traverse through the heavens, through the 12 rasis. Okay. Do we have any questions today? Or do you want me to continue? What should we do? Did you get any questions? No. There is? Okay. Go ahead and ask.
Why do we say the names of Vishnu when we are taking Achamaniyam?
Why do we say the names of Vishnu when we take Kesavaya Swaha, Narayana Swaha, Madhavaya Swaha? It's not only Shiva, not only Vishnu's names that you chant. You can, for instance, you can chant Atma Tattvaya Swaha, Vidya Tattvaya Swaha, Shiva Tattvaya Swaha, Sarva Tattvaya Swaha, right? Or you can say, I'm Atma Tattvaya Swaha. See, I'm trying to tell you that there are so many various combinations are used. I'm Atma Tattvaya Swaha, Klim Vidya Tattvaya Swaha, Sauh Shiva Tattvaya Swaha, right? I'm Klim Sauh Sarva Tattvaya Swaha. So you can use Bala Tirupura Sundari, or you can use Mahavishnu's names, or you can use just plain Atma Tattvaya. Let me recite the nature of the Atma to the consciousness. Shiva Tattva. Let me recite the nature of Parabrahman, Shiva, the formless one. Vidya Tattva Swaha, let me research the nature of all knowledge. And just in case you have missed everything, the fourth one you say Sarva Tattva Swaha. So it is not essential that Vishnu's names are the ones that have to be chanted. They can. Now, for instance, the Shaivites might use Atma Tattva, Shiva Tattva, Vidya Tattva. The Vaishnavites might use Kesavaya, Narayana Swaha, Madhavaya Swaha, Govindaya Namah. Right? Next one.
Is there a relationship between Uchchiravasas and the horses of Surya?
Is there a relationship between Uchchiravasas and
The horses of Surya.
horses of Surya? No. The horses of Surya, I think I can understand why they are asking that question, because Surya is also called Surya Narayana Murti. Right? And this horse is Indra's horse. But the difference, the similarity is that Indra's horse, Uchchiravasas, has 7 heads. One body, 7 heads. Surya's, there are 7 different horses. Sapta Ashva Radhaya Namaha. Surya, one of the names for Surya is Sapta, 7 Ashva horses. Radhaya Namaha. A chariot drawn by 7 is there. That is the name for Surya. So I can understand, because this number 7, they think that it is related. Indra owns the horse. Indra claimed it. You will notice that the Asuras didn't get anything. Anything that came out of the thing, the Devas pounced on it. They grabbed. Next one. Or questions are over, or there are some more.
I think that's it for the questions for this one, Ayya.
Hmm.
There's one more question. I think.
Okay.
Is there any relation between this section of the form of Shiva, so the story, and in Lalita Sahasranamam when it says Sudha Sagara Madhyastha Kamakshi Kamadayini?
Is there any relationship between?
The story of churning the ocean?
No. The ocean is your mind. When you receive any mantra diksha and you start to chant, first thing that happens is the churning of the mind. And what it will do, it will start to dredge up all the things that you have pushed down. The human mind is of such a nature that anything unpleasant happening to it as it is growing up from the time of a child, it will push it down. And if you look at the brain, if you cut a section through the brain, you will find that there's a pineal stalk, right? Floating in the cerebrospinal fluid in one of the ventricles, in the ventricles. That cerebrospinal fluid is your Milky Ocean. The pineal stalk is your Meru Mandaram, the mountain. And Ida and Pingala are the motion, left and right motions that you are doing, the good nature, the positive nature, and the negative nature. If the graph is like this, the horizontal axis, right? What is below the horizontal axis are the yakshas or the asuras. What is above the horizontal axis are the divine beings. So the churning of the ocean takes place when you start doing mantra japam, right? Churning of that fluid, that is the one that is depicted. This is in terms of modern day things. In the olden days, they didn't bother with explaining things with the way the body is set up, right? And beneath at the base of the pineal stalk, there is what do you call that, a gland. What is the gland's name? What is it called? No, just above the upper palate. Pituitary gland. Pituitary gland controls so many things. So, and also it is the basis on which, it is the base on which the pineal stalk is sitting as you come down. That is Mahavishnu's tortoise form. When it started to sink, it is said he went down and protected the thing from sinking any further. The pituitary gland is what is mentioned. Okay? All right?
Yes, that's all the
That's
questions.
it. That's all the questions. Okay. Thank you very much. We will see you again next week.
Thank you, Ayya, for today's session. To access all content from prior sessions, please visit srividya.org/AYM lectures. We would like to thank everyone for joining us for today's session.